The patron saint of England has not always been St George. The first was St Edmund, Anglo Saxon King of the ancient kingdom of East Anglia in what is now England. This is St Edmundsbury Cathedral in Bury St Edmunds, both of which are named after Edmund, who is widely known as Edmund the Martyr, not to be confused with Edmund I of England. Edmund the Martyr ruled his kingdom for 9 years, inheriting the throne in 855 AD when he was just 14. Not much is known about his life, but when the Vikings arrived on his land 10 years later, he decided to pay them off rather than fight them, which was a wise move considering what would happen later. This payment didn't protect Edmund and his kingdom for long, as only 4 years later, infamous Viking Ivar the Boneless returned with his army, and this time they couldn't be bought, resulting in Edmund losing both the battle against them and his life. The exact way that Edmund died is debated. The first version is that he died on the battlefield against the Vikings. The second story has 2 different starts but one ending. Version 1 is that he was captured on the battlefield, and version 2 is that he managed to flee. Once he'd fled, he hid under the Goldbrook Bridge in Hoxton. Here, a newlywed couple spotted the reflection of his golden spurs in the water and alerted the Vikings to his location. Edmund then cursed them and all future newlywed couples who crossed that bridge. So for centuries, local newlyweds would go out of their way to avoid crossing the bridge on their wedding day to avoid this curse. No matter how he was captured, both versions tell a similar ending to Edmund's life. Viking leader Ivar the Boneless subjected Edmund to torture, trying to either convert Edmund from Christianity to paganism or trying to convince him to become a figurehead of his land under Viking rule, both of which Edmund refused. Ivar then instructed his men to shoot arrow after arrow into Edmund's body. By the time they were done, he had so many arrows in him that he has been described as resembling a hedgehog. Even after all of that, he still resisted, and so the Vikings brutally beheaded him. Edmund's body and head were then discarded by the Vikings. His people eventually found his headless body and immediately went searching for his head in the surrounding woodland. Soon they heard what sounded like Edmund's voice shouting, "Here!" After following the voice, they found Edmund's head being held protectively between the paws of the wolf to protect him from any other animals that may want to attack him. Once the wolf saw Edmund's people, it let the head go, knowing it was now in safe hands. Edmund's body was initially buried in a wooden shack near where he died. A blind man took shelter in the shack overnight, only to wake up the next day with his vision fully restored. This and other miracles resulted in Edmund becoming a saint, and about 50 years after his death, he was brought to what is now known as Bury St Edmunds. When his body arrived, they checked it over, surprised to find he hadn't decomposed at all, despite it being half a century since his death. Not only that, but all of his arrow wounds had healed, and his decapitated head was back again attached to his body. Pilgrims flocked to St Edmund's Shrine for centuries. The ruins I've been showing are what remains of Bury St Edmunds Abbey, which was one of the richest monasteries in England from all of the offerings given by the masses of pilgrims and kings who visited. Like most monasteries, the abbey was destroyed in 1539 by order of Henry VIII when he split from the Roman Catholic Church. When the abbey was destroyed, St Edmund's body went missing. Some say monks secretly buried him somewhere else in the abbey, but as of right now, we don't know for sure where his body is.